Two. Get my camera rolling. Right. Keep the camera away. Have you got it ready to go? Sorted, aye. Got it ready to go. We're here as a part of an occupation against workfare, and basically workfare is unfair. 1.5 million people go through workfare, and it's absolutely unfair because only 3% get permanent jobs and nobody gets permanent, and they're on slave wages, they're working for their benefits, and then they're sanctioned if they're 5 minutes late for work. It's an absolute scandal, and that's why we're here today at Triage, protesting against Triage. They made £11 million profit last year on the backs of the unemployed. It's an absolute scandal that that was allowed to happen. An absolute scandal that that's allowed to happen. Come round. And it's an absolute scandal that this was allowed to happen. The fact of the matter is that this protest, this occupation of Triage in Glasgow today is because of the fact that 1.5 million people go through and only 3% get permanent jobs, and they're up to 2 years working for nothing except their benefits and getting sanctioned from 3 weeks to 3 years if they fall down by being a minute late for work when they're working for absolutely nothing. They receive letters. They receive letters going for interviews, and basically they let us turn up late. They are sanctioned, and that's what happens today with Triage. But we're not here to damage any property. We're not here to upset any members of staff. We're here to show this protest for what it is and to protest openly. This is the Scottish Unemployed Workers Network, Scottish Resistance. Are here today, and Black Triangle are here today to do this protest, and that's why we're here. Sarah.
Yeah, from the Scottish Unemployed Workers Network. So here to protest against Triage. We also occupy Triage in Dundee. Triage are absolutely complicit in the work programme, in making people work for nothing, and in a huge number of sanctions which leave people destitute, and in the worst cases actually can cause people serious injury and death. So
and this is a peaceful protest against this. And in recent times, we've seen people, Philip Malloy, Fiona Campbell, who have committed suicide because they've been sanctioned. They've actually been sanctioned, and they've committed suicide recently because of the sanctions. But their names do not get mentioned in the press because they're just ordinary working class people from Glasgow, and they've actually committed suicide because they have no hope left. They have no money, and this is why we're doing this protest today. James.
Oh, you carry on.
No, on you go, James. On you go. The other thing is that this is why we're here. This is why we're here today, to do this protest. And we're going to continue this protest. And we're saying to members of Triage staff, they've got to report to their bosses that they made large profits on the back of the unemployed, and that's what they're doing. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the protesters.
Hello?
Inside the office.
Okay, just a wee moment, please.
Be happy to take the office. A guy came up here somebody Margaret. About with 7 boys, but then the same guy's going to get into it. That's a bit of it, man. Right, I think we made my point. Let's go now.
No.
You are fine. Again. These are fine.
it's basically about, saying that people can't just exploit people who are unemployed and expect just to do that in a day's work. It's not acceptable. We know that's their jobs, but if your job is destroying other people's lives, if your job is leaving people destitute, you shouldn't be doing that job. So, yes, this is a workplace, but this is work that shouldn't be happening. And we're here to say that, if you're involved in that sort of work, you shouldn't be doing it. Get out.
And what we're also saying very, very clearly for the State of the Union is the fact that we want an independent Scotland where we don't have work trials, where we don't have people working for their benefits. What we want is an independent Scotland, free for social justice, to have redistribution of income and wealth, so that companies like Triage, Maximus, Atos don't make hundreds of millions of pounds off the backs of the poor. We want a society where people can get real jobs and get real training and get real rates for the job. That's what we're doing in this protest here today, up here at Maximus and up here at Triage. And but they're all the same, all these companies. They basically make profits on the backs of the poor. They're contract killers because people commit suicide. That's what happens. They basically are making money on the backs of the poor, the sick, the dying and the unemployed. And that's an absolute scandal that that's been allowed to happen in this day and age. It's an absolute scandal that's been allowed to happen. As I say, they're contract killers because people commit suicide when they're turned down, when they're sanctioned. They give up all hope in life and they commit suicide. That's what happened to Philip Malloy last March. He threw himself in the River Clyde, a young man I knew personally, that James knew personally. He lost his job and he was sanctioned, he lost his house and he committed suicide. That's the reality of it. These are the people that go unreported. These are the thousands that die. These are the thousands that die over the years that basically commit suicide or they're terminally ill and they're forced back to work. Sorry?
Have you just got the rights to record?
Of course, yes.
Have you?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
It's not only for our protection, it's for your protection as well, to make sure that we're not doing anything wrong.
Against the law, we're not abusing it, we're not swearing at you.
Can I ask you to leave?
No. You can ask, but no, we're not leaving.
This is property, this is private.
We're not leaving.
He's on the leaving?
That's
No, it's
correct.
an occupation.
It's an occupation, so we can't.
Sorry, just so you know, and all of you refusing to leave.
Yes.
Fine.
And as I say, these protests started in Dundee and they're happening in Glasgow. These protests will continue. And the bottom line is that we are going to keep protesting until workfare and the work programme are done away with, so that people can get real jobs with real pay. It's an absolute scandal that they're not just scandalising the unemployed. Also, places like the pound shop are getting rid of workers so they can take on skivvy, so they can take on people on for no wages, so that people are losing their jobs as a result of this as well. And that's an absolute fact of life, and that's what's happening at places like Poundland and different places like that. They're taking on cheap labour and they're not employing real people for real wages, and the unemployed are basically just being used as skivvy for multinational companies who are making profits on the backs of the unemployed, and that's what's actually happening. And as I say again, we do need an independent Scotland to have social justice so none of this happens, because this is a product of the unionist state. This is a product of Westminster policy. This is a reserve policy to Westminster, and the bottom line is this is a reserve policy to Westminster, and that's why we need that independence, so that this doesn't happen again, so that people of Scotland can have proper social justice, have proper socialism, have proper radical basically redistribution of income and wealth. This is why we're here today. This is why we're protesting. This is the reality of it, and that's why we're saying to the members of staff here today, we're not here to abuse them, we're not here to shout at them, but we're talking up about the unemployed and about the issues at hand, and that's what we're doing. Okay?
Right, I've made the point, so that's that.
Nobody, by the way, you don't get arrested. Right, okay, I'll see you down there. And now we've also got protesters outside down at the front door.
Just want to say as well that, you know, for the video, that at the same time as we're here protesting about what happens in the work programme, and just for people who aren't certain what's going on, I mean, Triage are subcontractors for the work programme, so they're the people who make sure that people get given stupid things to do that generally don't help them at all in actually finding work. And it's actually been reported by the DWP themselves that the sort of things that people are made to do under the work programme are not helpful in actually getting people jobs.
They're stacking shelves. They're doing.
They're often people who you know, have done work, all sorts of work. They have a work history. It's not that people need work experience. They're experienced workers. They need jobs. They don't need to be cheap labour that's, as Sean was saying, that's labour that's actually being used to destroy paid jobs. But as I was saying, at the same time as we're here, I mean, people who are unemployed are just being hit left, right and centre. And we've just heard from people in Edinburgh who were helping somebody at an Edinburgh job centre in High Riggs. And these are people from Edinburgh Coalition Against Poverty. They've been asked by somebody to go in with them because you're allowed to have somebody in with you to act as an advocate for them. And the job centre has called the police on them, and there's police at the moment in High Riggs job centre trying to arrest people just for advocating quite legally for someone who wanted that help in dealing with officialdom.
And just to remind folks out there, the unemployed are stacking shelves and doing manual labour for their benefits, for their meagre job seekers allowance, 40 hours a week, 37 hours a week, and basically they should be getting paid a living wage for that. And we're saying that people should be on a living wage of £7.84 at the very minimum at the current time, and go up to £10 an hour. And that's what the living wage should be for everybody that's doing any form of labour, any form of work. And that's what we say for everybody. There should be a living wage of £10 an hour, and not basically just working for your job seekers allowance. That is just slave labour. It's punishing the poor and punishing the unemployed for being unemployed. It's not their fault. It's the fact that it is the system we have over 1 million people unemployed in the UK, and a lot more, because some people are self-employed, but they're only maybe doing a few hours a week. So we actually have millions of people that are underemployed and unemployed. And that's what we have in the United Kingdom today. The actual economic recovery is a mirage, and in actual fact the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer, and that's what we're seeing increasingly, and that's what's going on. And this is why we're protesting here today in Triage, a company that made over £11 million profit last year on the backs of the unemployed, and basically a company that's comfortably making loads of money on the backs of the unemployed, and it's totally unfair that they're doing this. And we are here today to bear witness to the fact that Triage, Maximus, Salos and Atos should be pulled out altogether from the unemployment industry, and that the state should actually be getting all these people back to work, and for the people real work and real jobs with real living wage of £7.84 to £10 an hour. And in addition to that, for the sick and the disabled who cannot work, they should be allowed to have a decent social income to live on without being forced back to work when they can't do any work and when they're not fit to do that work. And our names today, just so you know this, my name is Sean Clerkin from Glasgow Against Maximus, and this is Dr. Sarah Glynn from the Scottish Unemployed Workers Network. We also had James Scott from the Scottish Resistance. We also have some people downstairs in wheelchairs who can't get up because there is no wheelchair access for people to this building. They're down protesting outside, and so they're protesting outside on our behalf, and they have no access, wheelchair access. Another discrimination against the disabled here today.
And filming is James Irvin. I'm connected with the Scottish Anti-Austerity Alliance, and I'm just making sure everything runs okay.
Thank you very much, James. Have you got something to say?
I don't know anything.
We've got Joe outside. Joe is a disabled person who recently found a job, and as part of the Scottish Anti-Austerity Alliance, we also have Jim Matheson from the Unite Community branch here in a personal capacity, and he's here to show his support. And we've got other people outside who are protesting today against Triage and what they're doing, and we managed to get inside. It shows you how they want to hide away when it's a double-barrelled security system where you've got to get through security doors to get in, instead of being able to just people to wander in and out. And it just shows you they've got a lot to hide, and that's why we're here. We had to come through 2 security doors to get inside, and under false pretences, and I do regret the fact that we had to do that, but that's the nature of the beast. We have to get into protest, and we lied our way in, so I do regret that, and I do regret that, telling the worker a lie to get in, but that's what we have to do to highlight these issues. And as I say, we need social security payments to be higher than they currently are. We need a living wage for all people. We do not need skivvy, we do not need slave labour, which Triage supports. They support slave labour for people working for the benefits. It's an absolute scandal that that's been allowed to happen. And we're going to be staying here all day, so we are.
And I just wanted to, as well, I mean, Triage, they take people from the job centre. They also take people who are on employment and support allowance in the so-called work-related activity group. So these are people who are found too old to work, and yet they're being made to do tasks. And I just wanted to tell a story as well from, well, a true story that Jo was telling us from downstairs. A friend of hers who's blind and on job seekers allowance and was made to do one of these paid work for your benefits tasks, and was sent to a warehouse where she was blind, remember, and she was being made to unpack packages all day for 30 hours a week without any pay, and it was taking her an hour and a half each way to get there each day. Had to be accompanied, obviously, because she was blind and
Can
couldn't do it
actually have
herself.
you called the police?
I've not called the police personally, no.
Have the police been called?
I couldn't tell you that.
Well, we're staying here all day, just to let you know that.
That's right.
Can we sit down?
Yeah. Well, you can't sit in any of their seats, also, because that's their property. And as I said earlier on, right. As I was saying as well, the fact that we're here today is also to highlight the fact that 1.5 million people go through workfare and only 3% get permanent jobs out of it. The fact is that Triage make £11 million a year profit, and it's a profit, it's on the unemployment industry, and that's what it's all about. Atos, they made 300 million. Basically, Maximus are getting 500 million for what they're doing, and Salus are part of NHS Lanarkshire, are subcontracted for Scotland for personal independence payments for Atos. And the fact is, all these companies are basically making profits out of sanctioning people, getting people off benefits. And the fact is, in the last year, for Andrew's sake, the number of people who were sanctioned, the chap up at David Webster, Professor David Webster, Professor Emeritus at Glasgow University, estimated that £338 million was made out of sanctions. £338 million was saved in sanctions for people last year alone, and that just shows you basically why people have been sanctioned in ever-increasing numbers, and that's why we're here to protest today about this, and we're going to continue protesting about this all day long. And we're saying it's we're saying to Triage, shame on you, 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 shame on you. Shame on you, 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 shame on you. Shame on you, 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 shame on you,
Simple request for a proper day's pay for a proper day's work. No, just.
Shame on you,
shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. Shame on you, 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 shame on Triage, shame on Triage, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. Shame on you, 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 Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on
I'm running
you.
out of film.
Shame on you.
Running out of film. Running out of space.
What's up there?
Space. Just.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on triage. 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 Shame on triage.
Shame on you. 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 Shame on